It is now 7 o'clock. I'm going to be calling the meeting to order like I have been doing because I know I'm in a noisy environment. I will be muting when I'm not speaking. I ask everyone to pull up their copy of the agenda so that our secretary can concentrate on the other documents he needs to share. The first thing, unfortunately, my video from the last meeting did not record because I was recording it to my local computer rather than to the cloud. I will switch out host before I have to get on a plane, so that will not happen this time. I apologize for that. Also on the agenda, the secretary live notes link is incorrect. Omar started a new one that will be updated on the next agenda. If Mr. Secretary can post the correct live notes in chat, that would be greatly appreciated. I ask everyone to periodically review. The link is always in the beginning of the agenda, my draft timeline for getting us prepared for convention. The committee Elpedia page, feel free to edit that if you think there's pertinent information about this committee or discussions. You know, Elpedia is a community project and you guys will know more about this committee than the general community. Please feel free to get an account and edit that page. Also, I need to delete, we have the chair's master sheet of past proposals. I did get the form from Mike Seebeck, so I need to delete that notation that says waiting on one form from Mike Seebeck. And I've been keeping up a working copy of the amended platform. Members have found that pretty helpful when they've written me. It doesn't appear that we have any members of the public here for public comment, though we usually do let board, I say board, I'm sorry, I'm so used to being on a board. Committee members talk during this time if they wish to. So if there's any committee members that have anything they would like to offer during public comment, please raise your hand and let me know.
Madam Chair, real quickly as a point of information, I always record on my end like I am right now, and I make like little timestamps. I'll say, you know, it's 9 o'clock, it's 9:05. I can make available the recording for the last meeting. So that's what I reference to create the minutes if you'd like.
Yes, if you could please upload it to the committee drive, and I will then create it a video for it. You know, even if it's just audio, I just will put a still image for historical purposes. And I see Mr. Choco has his hand raised.
Yeah, I was just going to mention to any committee members that weren't there that the town hall last week, I thought it went very well. And there were a handful of party members that participated quite a bit. So I would encourage anybody that's able to come to the next one. You know, I think there is a decent amount of interaction with party members that we don't really have any other way to get that level of input from.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Choco. I absolutely agree. If there is no objection, I noted this on the email list that I would be asking for approval of minutes from February 20th, 2022 to be deferred to an email vote to start in 1 week. Is there any objection to me doing that? Okay, hearing none, that's what we will do. I wanted to also take this opportunity to thank Ted Brown for taking over during my technology difficulties last meeting and in advance for his taking over for me midway through this meeting when I will have to be getting on a plane to Pittsburgh. This should be the last time this happens. This was a surprise. Southwest caught me by surprise with this one. So without further delay, we will get to the first item postponed from the last meeting.
Madam Chair.
Yes, sir.
Would you like roll call?
Oh, I am so sorry. Yes, sir.
All right. So I've got a whole bunch of names already down. I have Gary Alvestead here, Mark Brayman here, Ted Brown here, Joe Brunghart is here, Josh Chappell from New Mexico, is he here? Matt Choco's here, Kobe Clark from Washington, not seeing. Sean Dempsey, New Hampshire, not seeing. Ken Mathis is here, Joshua McHose, Not seeing. I see Miss Cliff. Tim McMaster, Pennsylvania. We'll see him tomorrow. Dustin Nano, Ohio. Omar Curls here. Mike Seebeck is here. Ashley Shade. Not seeing. Mary Swim. Nope. Curry Taylor is here. John Thompson's here. Madam Chair is here. That gives us 8 primaries. I know Clayton is here. Jim Foley, Ohio. Not hearing anything. Paul Grindo, New York. I see Miss Cliff is here. She'll sit for Alaska. Sean Hickman. Jenny LeBlanc, Texas. Jenny here?
Janae is here.
I'm here, yes.
I always say it wrong. Chris Lucchini. Let me switch here for just a moment here so everybody can see this, what I'm doing. Daniel Mew Miller. No. Star Child.
Yes.
Cat Martin.
Star Child is here if you didn't hear him.
I didn't hear him. Caleb Newbill. Tim Yo. Okay, with Star Child and Carolyn Cliff, that would give us 13. I can vote, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. If you could put back up on the screen the agenda when you have a moment. Where we are at in the agenda is we are in the middle of a motion to amend to add in the word, it's highlighted, epidemic, in that plank that is on the screen, so that I'm going to read this out loud so we all know where we're at. This is the current language. The defense of the country requires that we have adequate intelligence to detect and to counter threats to domestic security. This requirement must not take priority over maintaining the civil liberties of our citizens. The Constitution and the Bill of Rights shall not be suspended. And then the prior committee had marked out even during time of war and had added in or curtailed, whether based on circumstances of war. Mr. Brungart had added in the word epidemic. The prior committee was suggesting natural disaster or emergency or any other pretense. Intelligence agencies that legitimately seek to preserve the security of the nation must be subject to oversight and transparency. We oppose the government's use of secret classifications to keep from the public information that it should have, especially that which shows that the government has violated the law. We oppose the use of torture and other cruel and unusual punishments without exception. Where we are at and debating is only the addition of the word epidemic to the prior committee's proposal from 2020. So that is what debate will be centered on. And I did give notice on the agenda that once we get back to the primary, I am going to be moving a substitute which seemed to have some support from the committee. I see Mr. Brungart had his hand raised. Mr. Brungart.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I sent in an email, a note that I believe this was Mr. Brainman that made this amendment, not Mr. Brungart.
Yes, Mr. Brayman.
Thank you.
Apologies. I will make sure that is corrected on LPedia. Mr. Brayman, did you wish to speak to your amendment?
Yes, I do. I am not all that concerned about whether we use epidemic or pandemic. I do think that it's important to acknowledge that in the current times, the possibly the greatest reduction in freedoms by government that has occurred in the last 2 decades has been due to an epidemic or pandemic. And I think it's very important for political support of our party that we bring this to the attention of the public, that we stand so strongly in opposition to this specific curtailment of rights.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Brayman. Would anyone else like to speak to this amendment? Okay, seeing none, we're going to bring then the addition of the word epidemic into the 2020 committee's proposal up for a vote. Remember, this does not adopt the proposal. It would only adopt the amendment. Mr. Secretary, when you can, please do a roll call vote.
Yep, give me 1 second here. This is to adopt the wording. All righty, Gary Alvestead.
Aye.
Mark Raymond.
Aye.
Ted Brown.
Aye.
Joe Brunhart.
I'll pass.
Okay, Matt Choco.
Aye.
Whoops, 1 second. Ken Mathis.
Abstain.
Stain. Carolyn Cliff.
Aye.
Tim McMaster. Oh, not here, right? Dustin Nana. Not here. Get that out of the way. Omar Crow, vote nay. Mike Seebeck.
Aye.
Star Child. Not hearing Star Child. Curry Taylor.
Aye.
John Thompson.
Aye.
All right, we had a pass from Mr. Brunhart.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Madam Chair, I'm going to put this on the screen for everybody. I am showing that we have 8 in favor, 1 opposed, 2 express abstentions.
Okay, so thank you. That passes. We are now back on the primary motion. So at this point, I am going to offer the substitute. If you could please put that on screen when you get a moment, Mr. Secretary.
Yeah. Oh, wait, no, not here. Other one. So this is what I have here. This is the epidemic wording. Right?
Yes, correct. If you pull up the agenda, I have the language of my substitute.
Ah, okay. Let me see. Down here?
Yes, so the substitute would, it's to the same plank, obviously 3.2. It would strike out of the original language, the Constitution and Bill of Rights shall not be suspended even during time of war, and instead add in this sentence. We hold that an individual's right of choice and attendant responsibility is absolute, and no real or imagined emergency, open paren, whether medical, environmental, military, or other, close paren, can be used as a pretext for expanding or concentrating government power, including the suspension or curtailing of the Constitution or Bill of Rights. So this is being offered as a substitute. It had some support on the list. I am not going to speak to it. I am moving it simply to get discussion going. I will not be voting one way or another. So where we are at procedurally is we will go back to the first proposal, which is the one in which the word epidemic was added. We will perfect that one. If once everyone agrees there is no more amendments or there are no more amendments to be made to that proposal, we move then to the substitute and perfect that one. Once everyone agrees there are no more amendments to be made to perfect the substitute, we will vote on whether or not to make the substitute the main motion. So where we are at right now is perfecting the original one with the word epidemic added. So does anyone have any additional debate, amendments, or perfections to add to the original proposal with the word epidemic added?
Omar, are you able to get that language back on the screen? Thank you.
I have a proposed amendment or perfection, however you want to call it. This is Star Child.
Go ahead, Star Child.
Because as I mentioned previously, the Bill of Rights is actually part of the Constitution, just revising your proposed language, which otherwise looks pretty good to me on the face of it, to conclude curtailing of the Bill of Rights or any other part of the Constitution?
I think you're speaking to the substitute.
Yes.
We're not at that point. We are perfecting first the original. It's the one that has the word epidemic in it. Your amendment would be in order when everyone is agreed. There is no further amendments to the first proposal.
Excuse me, I get lost in the order of these things.
It gets confusing with substitutes. Mr. Cholko. You can go ahead, Mr. Cholko.
Sorry, linguistically, it's a little different, but the same issue exists in the, whatever we're calling the first one. Is it? It's not the primary. It's just called the first one.
It's the primary. It's the primary.
It's the primary. Okay. Okay. So the Constitution and Bill of Rights shall not be suspended. I think that's not, the Bill of Rights is just part of the Constitution. So I'm not sure that it's necessary to say that. I'm not proposing a change at this moment. I just thought of that when Star Child mentioned it for the other one.
Thank you, Mr. Cholko. Anyone else?
I'd move to replace the word "and" with "including the."
Okay, so Mr. Brungart moves to strike the word "and" between Constitution and Bill of Rights and insert "including." Do I have you correct?
Including the.
Don't you need a comma? You need to put a comma in there too, right?
Yeah, make it sound grammatically correct.
After Constitution and after.
Comma's not needed there.
Right.
Yeah, that's an Oxford comma, not needed.
I'm giving the secretary 1 moment to catch up.
Is that it, Madam Chair? We're just striking "and" and then inserting "including"?
Including the.
Yes. Including the Bill of Rights. There we go.
And they also suggested it would be the Constitution, comma, including the Bill of Rights, comma. Is that correct, Mr. Brungart?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Okay, so debate is now focused on Mr. Brungart's amendment. Mr. Brown.
Yes, I'd like to speak against that. I think it's true that the Constitution and the Bill of Rights Bill of Rights is part of the Constitution, but I think to accentuate our point, we should mention them separately like that. The public might not consider it that way. And saying the Constitution and Bill of Rights just makes our statement stronger, I think. And otherwise, we're just like adding additional verbiage that we don't need.
To answer an implicit point of information that is in chat, the party has adopted a style guide, which is the Chicago Manual Style, which mandates use of the Oxford comma. This is not an Oxford comma, by the way, but in the case we ever encounter a place where the Oxford comma would be used, the party does use the Oxford comma, and the LNC secretary is authorized to make those minor style changes. So I suggest we don't obsess overly on commas in this committee, as the LNC secretary is authorized to make those kinds of changes, and it's probably not the best use of our time, but it is up to you guys how you choose to spend your time. Would anyone else like to speak to Mr. Brungart's amendment?
I would, Starchild. I just wrote it in chat. I remember now on hearing this discussion that I had actually previously proposed the words, the Constitution, in particular, the Bill of Rights. I'm not sure that completely addresses Ted's concern, but I think it does give a little bit more emphasis to the Bill of Rights as probably the most important part of the Constitution that we want to protect. So I would suggest that language as marginal.
Okay, just so you know, procedurally, that would not be in order at this time since the substitute is considered the first level of amendment. So we can only handle one amendment at a time. But you can say that if Mr. Brungartz is voted down, that you would be offering this. That would be perfectly in order to let the committee know that.
Okay.
Okay, sir, Mr. Choco.
Since Starchild didn't say it, I'm going to say it, that if this one fails, I'm going to offer that language Starchild just put in chat.
Okay, is there any further debate needed on Mr. Brungart's amendment? Hearing none, Mr. Secretary, if you could proceed to a roll call vote.
Yes. One moment. Just get the thing up here. Okay. Gary Alvstead.
Aye.
And Mark Raymond.
I'm going to abstain.
Okay. Ted Brown.
No.
Joe Brunhart.
Yes.
Matt Choco.
No.
Ken Matz.
Aye.
That was an A?
Aye. Yes.
Okay. Carolyn Cliff.
Abstain.
Tim McMaster not here. Justin Nana. I swear I gotta delete this stuff. Omar Curl. I will pass for the moment. Mike Seebeck.
Aye.
Starchild.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Abstention. Curry Taylor.
No.
John Thompson.
Aye.
Omar, coming back to me, I skipped. Omar Crow will vote aye. Did I miss anyone? Skip anyone? We've got 12 votes here. Madam Chair, I have 6 in favor, 3 opposed, 3 express abstentions.
Okay, so Mr. Brungart's motion passes. However, it would still be in order for Mr. Choco or Starchild to strike those words and instead put in particular. The motion didn't have to fail for them to do that. So if either of them would like to make that motion, it would be in order at this time.
Matt, I'm happy to, or go ahead. I don't care.
No, you do it, Starchild. It's you.
Okay. I'll move the as the chair has just stated to add the in particular language or substitute the in particular language.
So Mr. Secretary, if you're unclear what Starchild is proposing, instead of saying and the bill of or the Bill of Rights, I don't have the language on this. Oh no, including the Bill of Rights, he would like to strike including and instead put in particular.
Those are 2 words, right? In particular.
Yes, sir.
Okay. 1 sec. Strike. Okay. We're still keeping the commas and whatnot, Madam Chair?
Yes.
Let's put a comma. Okay.
I kind of hate to do this, but now I'm looking at this, and I think actually the word, and I wish I had my language in front of me. I need to start trying to keep all those in a particular file so I don't have to go search for them. But I think I may have said especially, and I think that might be a little bit better so that it doesn't sound like we're saying, only the Bill of Rights, but the rest of the Constitution as well, just especially the Bill of Rights. So I'd like, if it's not too late, I'd like to modify again and say, especially the Bill of Rights instead of in particular the Bill of Rights.
Is there an objection? Since seconds aren't required in committees, once the motion was made, it belongs to the committee. Is there an objection to Starchild withdrawing his in particular and changing it to especially? I think, Mr. Brown, you had your hand raised for debate and not for objection, but I just wanted to make sure you were not objecting.
No, not objecting.
Thank
Madam
you,
Chair, this is
sir.
Omar.
Yes, sir.
No objection, but I would like to ask members of the committee to just have the whatever the ideas or the wording kind of ready ahead of time, because at the last meeting this was the challenging thing was oh wait, I meant to say this, I meant to say that while we were still making the motion. So just to help me out, please. Thank you.
I'll be the bad guy here. The reason this whole motion was postponed was because, and not saying any particular member of the committee, but the committee in general was unprepared. I've been fairly tolerant of that, but I probably will get a little bit less tolerant of it as time progresses and our time runs short. So please do look ahead as to what is coming ahead and be prepared when we come to the meeting. Thank you very much, Mr. Secretary. So since there is no objection, the amendment now is striking the word including, and so it would read, and it would read the Constitution, especially the Bill of Rights. Mr. Brown, you had your hand raised for debate.
Yes, I'm not usually one that quibbles about a word here or there, so it's not going to kill us to have that in there. But under normal circumstances, most circumstances, the Bill of Rights probably is the most important part of the Constitution. But during the pandemic, it seems like the part of the Constitution that was most violated was in the 14th Amendment, which is no state shall deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, because there was no due process of law, certainly, and people were deprived of their life, liberty, and property. So I would say that when you say especially the Bill of Rights, I mean, under this particular circumstance, the reason we're making all these changes is because of the pandemic. I would say that it's not really an especially, just my 2 cents there.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Brayman.
Yes, I hope that this is not too far afield, but I'm looking at this and the total number of words that we've added now is 7 or 8. I'm looking that couldn't we maybe say what we want just by saying constitutional rights shall not be suspended or curtailed? By keeping it short and just saying constitutional rights. I know it's not in order to offer this as an amendment right now, but maybe we could think about doing that instead of adding constantly to make it sound like it was written by a committee.
And what do they call a camel? A horse designed by committee. Mr. Brayman, always remember though, even if it passes with more words and you would prefer fewer, you will have minority report rights
Yes.
if you can get other committee members to join with you. Mr. Brown, was your hand intended to still be raised?
Nope, no more. I spoke.
Okay. Is there any further debate on the Star Child Amendment of striking including and putting in instead especially? Seeing none, Mr. Secretary, roll call vote when you have a moment.
All righty. Gary Alstead.
Aye.
Mark Raymond.
Abstain.
Ted Brown.
No.
Joe Brunhart.
Abstain.
Matt Choco.
Can you pass me? I'm still thinking about Ted Brown's comments.
Understood. Ken Matz.
Aye.
Carolyn Cliff.
Abstain.
Okay. We're going to come down to Omar Curl. I'm thinking too. I'm going to come back to me as well. Mike Seebeck.
No.
Starchild. Starchild.
Starchild's having issues in the chat, so he can't vote.
Okay. Well, if you can put it in chat, that'll count. Curry Taylor,
Aye.
John Thompson.
No.
Okay. I'm going to put this on the screen because it's a close one so that everyone can see where we're at. We're going to come back to Mr. Choco.
I'm going to say aye.
Okay. And I'm going to do it to you, Madam Chair. I vote nay. We are 4 in favor, 4 opposed, 3 express abstentions. Did I miss anyone?
Still
Well,
got
we missed our child.
I'm waiting to see if Star Child is going to vote in
chat. In chat,
in
right?
chat.
Yeah.
When somebody cuts out of a call, the standing rules are that they have 5 minutes to add in a vote that could change the result. So he will have till 7:35 to do so. What is the vote count right now?
It is 4 in favor, 4 opposed, 3 express abstentions.
I am going to vote no.
Yep.
And I believe Star Child voted yes.
This is Star Child. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Yes, and I believe I heard, so. With my no and his yes, what is the score?
5-5, Madam Chair.
This fails. We are back. Then it will be including. I am going to pass the gavel now to Mr. Brown. I just want to explain procedurally, want to make sure that he and I are on the same page. So where we are at is on the primary proposal, especially failed, including passed. So further amendments are in order, including what Mr. Brayman had suggested before, if he wishes to make it. Once the primary has been perfected, it gets put aside temporarily. You move to the substitute. That is perfected. Once that's perfected, the motion then becomes, shall the substitute become the primary? If that passes, the substitute is the main motion. If that fails, the primary is the main motion. But I want to remind the committee that once you say all perfection is done, it means all perfection is done. Once one of them is chosen to be the one voting on, you cannot amend it further except to add words to the beginning or the end. You can't change anything in the middle, at least not this time. We can do reconsiderations at a later meeting. So do all your perfection now and think wisely. I will listen to the recording later. I'm transferring host over to Mr. Ricuro, and thank you, Mr. Brown. You have the gavel.
Okay, thank you, Madam Chair. Have a good flight. Okay, so we're back on we're still on the main motion here. Are there any further amendments?
I have one.
Mr.
Yeah. Let me look for raised hands. I don't see any at the moment. So if I don't
Mr.
see
Brown,
any other...
This is Omar.
Oh yeah. Okay, Omar, yes.
Yeah, it's hard to raise my hand. I just want to point out to everyone, just so you understand where we're at in the same way. On the bottom is the main motion as it currently is with the including the Bill of Rights. The other language I moved away from the screen just so everyone knows where we're at.
Okay.
And then the substitute is on top.
Okay, thank you. It looks like Mark Brayman's hand is up. Mark?
Yes, I would like to make the motion to shorten it. I also see that I would like to remove the prepositional phrase of our citizens at the end of the prior sentence, because I believe that in this time that places too much emphasis on the civil liberties of only people who are US citizens and implies that we don't care about the civil liberties of non-citizens. So
do you want the deleted also?
Over maintaining civil liberties, yes. So yes, must not take priority over maintaining civil liberties, and then just go to just constitutional rights shall not be suspended or curtailed.
I would have to say that those are two separate amendments. So let's take the first one that you proposed first, which is the taking out the and of our citizens. Debate on that, or why don't you speak to your motion on that one?
Well, I already spoke a little bit, so I will let others speak.
Okay, Anyone else?
Mr. Brown?
Please. Yes.
This is Omar. So we're striking the and our citizens.
Right. So the proposal is to say that this requirement must not take priority over maintaining civil liberties.
Okay.
And it looks like we also have Matt Cholko.
Yeah, I think that's a very substantial improvement. And I agree with everything that Mr. Brayman said. We care about civil liberties, period, regardless of whether we're U.S. citizens or what have you. So I strongly support the motion.
Okay, and then everybody please lower your hand as soon as you're done speaking. Any other discussion on this particular amendment? Doesn't look like it. It looks like we're ready to move to a vote. Mr. Secretary, please call the roll on that amendment.
1 second to switch page here. Zoom is blocking.
Point of information, Mr. Chair. Can we see the wording on the screen again?
Yes, Mr. Secretary. I know we're going to have to go back and forth here, but if you could.
Sorry.
There it is. The wording is this requirement must not take priority over maintaining civil liberties. So it would delete the current words the and of our citizens.
Thank you.
Okay, would you like a roll call, Mr. Chair?
It's best to do that, yes.
Okay, just wanted to give everybody time. I have two things open and I'll go back to the, I'll show everybody the vote in just a second. We'll start here. Gary Alvestead.
Aye.
Okay, Mark Brayman.
Aye.
Ted Brown.
Aye.
Bill Brunghart.
Emphatically yes.
Matt Cholko.
Aye.
Ken Matz.
Aye.
Carolyn Cliff.
Aye.
Omar Crow. Aye. Mike Seebeck.
Aye.
Star Child.
Aye.
Curry Taylor.
Aye.
John Thompson.
Aye.
Okay. Give me 1 second to switch screens here. Mr. Chair, we are unanimous here. 12 in favor, no opposed, no express abstentions.
Excellent. Well, wonders never cease. The motion passes, or the amendment passes. Back to the main motion. Let's find out. There was, I think Mr. Brayman had another amendment. Please present that.
Yes, I would like to take the out of the, well, let's just take the Constitution, including the Bill of, and replace that with constitutional. So it would read, civil rights shall not be suspended or curtailed.
Do you mean, do you mean constitutional rights or civil rights?
Did I say, I meant constitutional rights.
Okay, and I assume that would like make rights then with a small first letter.
Yes, all of them.
Okay.
I don't know whether constitutional. I don't know whether that remains capitalized or not. I don't care.
Well, you're changing it, I think, to make it the first word of the sentence.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
So we don't have to make that decision. Yes.
Right. So the motion is constitutional rights shall not be suspended or curtailed, and whether based on circumstances of war, epidemic, natural disaster or emergency, or any other pretense. All right, discussion on the changing the wording to constitutional rights. Let's see whose hand is up. Mr. Seebeck.
I want to wait a second to see what the wording is, but I do have a point of information. What layer are we at on this?
This is the only amendment on the floor.
And this is on the substitute or the main?
We're still on the main. We haven't perfected the main yet, so we haven't gone to the substitutes to start amending that yet.
Okay. I'm going to wait a second to see what the wording looks like before I speak, if I could. Because I'm not sure exactly what the wording is going to look like here.
Yeah. I think he was removing, including the Bill of Rights also. Isn't that correct?
That's correct.
So constitutional rights shall not be suspended.
So we're striking, including the Bill of Rights. Okay.
Correct. It would just be, the beginning of that sentence also. So it would just be constitutional rights shall not be suspended or curtailed, whether based on circumstances of war, epidemic, natural disaster, or emergency, or any other pretense.
Give me one moment just to make sure I'm clear. I think I understand where we're going finally. What about that first? Was that first "the" supposed to go out?
Yeah, the first "the" as well.
Oh, so it should just read constitutional. Just that's how the sentence starts.
Constitutional rights. Yeah.
Okay.
That was to like tighten up the language. My understanding is. Okay, let's go to Gary Alvstead.
Hold on. I actually wanted to. I had a proposal to amend. I moved to amend. Thank you.
Okay.
Change constitutional to individual.
That's not a friendly amendment, in my opinion.
No, it's a formal amendment. I'll take it as a formal amendment. Okay, can you wish to speak to that?
Yeah, it's just simply broader. Point of parliamentary inquiry. I've got a point of parliamentary inquiry here. It's Matt Chalko. I think that's a privilege. My understanding is that this would take us 3 deep because the substitute motion counts as the first amendment, according to what Chair Harlow said earlier this evening. So wouldn't this amendment take us deeper than we're allowed to go?
No, because we're still perfecting. Everything is within the original motion first.
Right, but we were
go down a certain number of levels on each one.
An additional amendment was disallowed previously in this conversation, in talking about this. I don't remember what it was, but I mean, anyway, she's not chairing now and you are, but that's right, definitely okay.
So I would rule that we only had one amendment on the floor, and this is an amendment to that amendment. Okay, so individual rights is now open for discussion. Let's see who's looking to speak. Let's see, Curry Taylor.
I wish to speak to it.
Yeah, I was actually going to speak on the previous amendment, but I'll go ahead and speak on this. I personally do like the term individual rights. I use it all the time when I'm talking politically or talking to people in, about the Libertarian Party and about libertarianism. I think it has great roots in, lots of different places. I don't know whether you're objectivist or whether you're, looking at the founding fathers or whatever. It's broad. However, I think in this case, it does kind of take a little bit of specificity about what we're trying to say here. We're trying to specifically say the government should not suspend a document with which everyone is familiar with, during a time of crisis. And maybe we were talking about the Bill of Rights as part of that as well. But I think in this particular case, it probably is better to just specify exactly which document we're talking about. And I'm sort of in the Star Child camp, and I think it's also maybe good for us to point out Bill of Rights, despite Ted, what we'd said a little bit earlier. I do think that saying the documents and the names with which people are most familiar in this particular case is important. Even if it's not technically correct, it might be important for us to do that. So that's where I stand on that.
Okay, let's see, Matt Chalko.
Yes, I pretty much agree with everything started with that. I would just say that the problem I have with individual rights here is that it just doesn't have a fixed definition, whereas constitutional rights does. So in daily life, I care more about individual. I don't care about the Constitution, frankly, in daily life. But in this case, I think it's better because it has a definition that people understand, and you can't. You can't really play around with it to make it fit some other, you can't mess around with constitutional rights. We know what they are.
Okay, Gary Alvstead.
Mr. Chair, I was recognized as having the floor, and I did not get a chance to speak to the motion because of getting the wording straight, and I wish to be heard.
My apologies, Mr. Seebeck, and then Gary Alvstead.
Thank you. The reason that I say individual here is because rights are not granted or totally enumerated in the Constitution. The Ninth Amendment points that out. There are rights that exist that are beyond what's in those documents, and that needs to be emphasized. Thank you.
Okay, Gary?
Sure, I got the floor this time?
Yes.
Okay, good. Hey, I just want to agree with Mr. Seebeck. I think that even the people that oppose, that have spoken against this, understand that individual makes more sense to say, that it's more important than it's a more important concept than constitutional rights. And it's just a question of whether we pander to people that, they have some imagined shortcoming where they don't understand individual rights. And I just think we need to stop doing that. I think this needs to be a bold document and we need to say what we really mean. Thanks.
Okay. Okay, then please take your hands down when you're finished speaking. Mark Brayman.
Yes. Oops. If we leave in individual rights, I think it would be good also maybe to remove the word suspended or, because to me, the word suspending individual rights or the phrase suspending individual rights doesn't really make sense. I don't know what it would mean to suspend someone's individual rights. I do know what it would mean to curtail someone's individual rights. So I think we could, if we stick with the phrase individual rights, I think we might want to consider shortening it even further to just simply say individual rights shall not be curtailed, whether based on, etc.
Okay, thank you. Clayton Casiato.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Another way, I posted in the chat, but another way to potentially solve this issue, if you did want to leave in a reference to the Constitution, is to say rights recognized by the Constitution. That's an alternative to this suggestion.
Okay, let's see. Any further discussion on this particular amendment, to say individual? Okay, hearing none, let's move to a vote on that amendment, Mr. Secretary. That would be to change the proposal from constitutional rights to individual rights.
Give me 1 sec. This is the Seebeck amendment. Okay, Gary Alfstead.
Aye.
Mark Raymond.
Abstain.
Ed Brown.
Actually, I'll abstain on that one.
Okay. Joe Brunghart.
Pass.
Matt Choco.
Abstain.
Ken Matz.
Aye.
Carolyn Cliff.
Aye.
Okay, we have Omar Recurl. I will, oh man, I'm in a weird place here. I'm going to pass as well. I'm going to come back here. Mike Stebeck.
Aye.
Okay. Star Child.
This is just to replace constitutional rights with individual rights?
Correct, yes.
Nay.
Kurt Taylor.
No.
John Thompson.
Aye.
Okay. I'm going to put this on the screen for everybody. It's also a close one, 5-2-3 right now. Switch this. We had to come back to Mr. Choco. No, Mr. Brunghart, I think, wanted to pass. Yes. Joe Brunghart? Oh.
I don't know. I'll abstain.
Okay. I'm in the same weird place. I'm also going to abstain. All right. Mr. Chair, we have 5 in favor, 2 oppose, and 5 express abstentions.
Okay, thank you. The motion passes, or the amendment passes rather. So we are back on the original. No, we've changed the proposal to individual rights, deleting that other language, and it would be individual rights. So that's now the main motion. So further discussion on that. Let's see if anyone wishes to. Let's see, Mark Brayman.
May we remove the words suspended or, again, for the reason that I stated, that to me, suspension of individual rights is not quite a concept that makes sense to me. You can suspend constitutional rights, but I don't quite understand what it would mean to say suspended. Curtailed is definite enough, and shortening it is always desirable.
Okay, that's a new amendment. Let's see, discussion on that amendment. Let's see, Mr. Seebeck's hand is up. Do you wish to discuss that amendment or the main motion?
I actually got a Scrivener's question here. After individual rights, is there a comma there, or has that been deleted between individual
That's deleted.
rights?
It just goes right into individual rights shall not be suspended or curtailed.
Okay, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, and the amendment is to get rid of the suspended or. So we just read individual rights shall not be curtailed, whether based on circumstances of war, epidemic, natural disaster, or emergency, or any other pretense. Discussion, how about, well, we only have Mark Brayman.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm done.
Okay. Is there any further discussion on that particular amendment?
Could you repeat the amendment, Mr. Chair?
Yes, it would be to delete the word suspended or. So it's just say individual rights shall not be curtailed, whether based on circumstances of war, epidemic, natural disaster, or emergency, or any other pretense. And on that one, since no one wished to even speak on the subject, I would have to ask, is there any objection to that amendment?
Objection for the moment to let the secretary catch up.
Okay, let's stand at ease for 15 seconds, maybe.
I think it's right. Suspended and or the words that were struck, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but that's not my motion.
If we're going to individual rights, it makes sense to get rid of the suspended language for the reason it was Mark said earlier.
Right, because we already passed the individual rights. So now we're amending further. Okay, so anyway, was there any objection now to that amendment? Hearing none, that amendment is adopted.
I objected.
Oh, you did? I thought that was just because there wasn't time for the secretary to do the minutes. Okay.
Mr. Seebeck is myself.
Mr. Seebeck has objected, so let's go to a roll call vote on that amendment, the amendment to delete suspended or. Mr. Secretary, when you're ready.
Okay. Gary Alstead.
Aye.
Mark Brayman.
Aye.
Joe Brunghart.
Abstain.
Matt Choco.
Aye.
Ken Matz.
Aye.
Carolyn Cliff.
Aye.
Okay. Omar Crow will vote aye as well. That was an aye. Mike Seebeck.
No.
Starchild.
Aye.
Curry Taylor.
Aye.
John Thompson.
Aye.
All right. Let me switch here.
Yeah, I'll vote aye as well on that one.
I was coming to you, Mr. Brown, in just a moment. I just wanted to get back to my practice of coming to the presiding officer last. So you're going to vote aye.
Yes.
That brings us to 10 in favor, 1 opposed, 1 express abstention.
Okay, motion passes or amendment passes.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion if it's in order.
Yes, it is.
If I could see the wording of when the secretary is ready, back to the paragraph we're discussing.
Yep. Bear with me. Bear with me. All right. This is this right here is what just passed. I'm going to mark it as passed.
Yes. Okay. I would like to move to strike the first 2 sentences of the paragraph. The defense of the country requires that we have adequate intelligence to detect and to counter threats to domestic security. And this requirement must not take priority over maintaining civil liberties. There's nothing wrong with the second sentence, but it wouldn't make sense standing on its own without the first sentence. And the first sentence is the one I think is really problematic for a number of reasons. First, it refers to the defense of the country, which is not exactly, not entirely clear, whether the country, I feel like there's a conflation there, at least in the popular understanding with the country and the government, that we would risk playing into if we don't take more words to explain ourselves than we probably want to get into at this point. Similarly, it says it requires that we have adequate intelligence, but that we clearly appears to refer to government, since below it talks about intelligence agencies legitimately seeking to preserve the security of the nation. And also the term domestic security, domestic is a word that really refers to ultimately people's homes, residences. I think that the false conflation of entire countries with people's homes and residences leads to things like anti-immigrant sentiment, and the idea of, I've seen used many times that, well, you just want to let anybody cross borders. Would you let just anybody into your house? And it appears to create a big potential loophole. What is adequate intelligence, and who should have it? Who is that we? I think that individuals should have means to counter threats to security, but not just domestic security. Any security, whether domestic or otherwise, really. Any violation of individual rights is a problem. So I just feel like there's a whole lot packed into that sentence that is problematic, possibly in any case, but certainly problematic without further explication of what we mean. And I think that the main thrust of what we're saying starts in the third sentence, that we don't accept these various pretenses, or pretexts might be a better word, for infringing on or curtailing individual liberties. So my motion is just to strike those first two sentences.
Okay. Well, thankfully, we use the word country instead of homeland. But anyway, Omar Requera.
Yeah, really.
Omar,
thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, I was trying to figure out where we were going here. So we're doing this requirement must not protect. So it would just start with individual rights, right? That's where we would.
Exactly. Yeah. Everything before individual rights would be gone then.
I just want to say that I feel like we've gone so far now with this amendment. I have to remember where we were at. This is to adopt Proposal 8. Yeah, I don't remember which section Proposal 8 is, but I feel like we've gone so far away from the original meaning of what this was that I'm wondering. I'm kind of wondering what we're doing anymore, and I feel like this is why at the last meeting I was the one that moved so that we can take this up over email and continue workshopping it, because it's now 10 o'clock, and so the entire first hour of the meeting has just been about moving commas around and deleting sentences and making it shorter, making it longer, and I'm not sure if we even know what we're doing anymore, guys. Thank you.
All right, is that a motion to postpone to the next meeting, or to email, or whichever you wanted?
Nope. I won't do it. Not this time.
All right, let's see. Other hands are up. Who hasn't? John Thompson hasn't spoken yet.
Title of this section is Internal Security and Individual Rights. It is entirely appropriate this section talk about the country, whether or not that's loosely defined. We got to remember the platform isn't for us. It is for people coming to us, and they want to understand how we feel about these things. We talk about natural disasters and other things in places, but in this particular piece, it's talking about individual security and internal security and individual rights. So it's speaking to that homeland apparatus and all of the ways that the state damages people, right, in order to maintain this illusion of security. So it would not be appropriate to strike those sentences.
Okay, let's go to Gary Alvstad.
Yeah, I think that I like this one. Mr. Thompson makes a good point. Maybe that should be rectified by changing the name of the section, because I don't think those are cast in stone. I do think it's a stronger statement if we just stay on individual rights and not limit it to, not even bring up defense of the homeland or anything like that. And then also, no, that's it. That's it for me. Thanks.
Okay, and then everybody remember, lower your hands once you're finished speaking. Matt Cholko.
So I am in favor of the motion. And frankly, when I read the first sentence, it might as well say the defense of the country requires that we have the Department of Homeland Security. And, you know, that I obviously don't agree with. And I recognize it's not saying that, but it might as well. And I see it as far too pro-government for the Libertarian Party platform. So I am in favor of getting it out of there. And Starchild is right that the second doesn't work with the first one gone. So, you know, it should go at this point too. If we want to put something else in to start it, or, you know, fine. But at this point, this motion is a good one.
Okay, and again, it's also in order for the next time to change the name of the plank as well. That's always in order as part of the motions as well. Omar, did you have something further on this one? Your hand is up. I guess not.
You mean, no, I'm sorry. No, I don't have anything. It takes me an extra step to get my hand down. Sorry, when you're hosting.
Oh, okay. No problem. Okay, looks like no one else wishes to speak on this. So let's move to a vote on the amendment to delete the first two sentences. And it looks like our Mr. Secretary, the second sentence still needs to be lined out there as well on the proposal by motion by Starchild.
Where exactly, Mr. Chair?
After the end of security, this requirement must not take priority over maintaining the civil liberties. That was part of the motion.
It's just not strike through on that part there, Omar.
Yeah, that part. Yeah. Just so we're clear about what we're voting on. Okay, and then we can move as soon as the secretary is ready to a roll call vote.
Yeah, it's just, you know, the red signifies what's going.
Okay.
Can we get somebody to read the motion as it would be with the, if we pass this? Because I'm having a hard time understanding what the hell we're even looking at.
Yes, this would shorten the plank to say individual rights shall not be curtailed, whether based on circumstances of war, epidemic, natural disaster, or emergency, or any other pretense. Intelligence agencies that legitimately seek to preserve the security of the nation must be subject to oversight and transparency. We oppose the government's use of secret classifications to keep from the public information that it should have, especially that which shows the government has violated the law. We oppose the use of torture and other cruel and unusual punishments without exception.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
Okay, so Mr. Secretary, let's call the roll here.
Okay, Gary Alvstad.
Aye.
Mark Brandman.
Aye.
Joe Brunhart.
Yes.
Matt Cholko.
Aye.
Ken Matz.
Aye.
Carolyn Cliff.
Aye.
Maura Curl will vote nay. Mike Seebeck.
No.
Starchild.
Aye.
Curry Taylor.
Aye.
John Thompson.
No.
All right. I'm going to get this on the screen. Mr. Chair, do you wish to place a vote or no?
Yes, I'll vote yes as well.
Okay. With your vote, we are at 9 in favor, 3 opposed. There are no express abstentions.
Okay, motion passes. Okay, and
I'm gonna announce myself as here now. It's Josh McCose.
Okay, welcome. And Mr. Secretary, if you could add Josh to the list of people participating.
Yes, give me a moment here and I'll be doing that in the background. Let me just get back to the thing here now so that everyone can see where we're at.
Okay, just a
order, Mr. Chair.
Oh, yes, Starchild.
I joined the entire meeting a couple minutes late, so this may have been done before I came, but I was just wondering whether there were any members of the public and if they were given an opportunity for public comment.
There were no members of the public at the time.
Okay,
anyway,
so the only people on the call are the people that are listed on the secretary's vote sheet.
Correct. Let me look under the participant list here. Let's see. Yes, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, just amusing here. I'm just noticing when I was reading that out loud where it says intelligence agencies that legitimately seek to preserve the security of the nation must be subject to oversight and transparency. I would think that the intelligence agencies that do not seek to preserve the security of the nation should have even more oversight and transparency. But anyway, I think we know what we mean on that one. Now, are there any further amendments to the main motion?
Mr. Chair, this is Omar.
Changing the name, yeah.
Just as a point of information for Starchild, the public comment portion of the meeting, it's always there. It's always on the agenda. Whether anybody shows up, it's a different story. But we did give a chance for the public to comment, but nobody was here, as Mr. Brown pointed out.
Okay. Oh, that's good. Yeah, some committees, sometimes it gets skipped or overlooked or whatnot. So I try to be a safeguarder of that when it's relevant.
Yes. Okay, so are there any further amendments on this on the main motion here? If not, we can move to a vote to perfect the main motion as we have just amended it. Okay, it sounds like we can do that. Okay, so let's perfect.
I'm sorry, can I make a point of a request for information?
Yes,
we talked about changing the title of this since it no longer matches the text. Is that something we do now, or is that something we can do after the division? Get the
we could have
the substitution.
Well, after
so it kind of depend on the result, which of the two options we choose.
Exactly. So I would have to rule that we should wait until we see which version we're going to use.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so let's move to a vote on the main motion here, and then if that passes, then we've perfected that motion, and then we'll go on to the alternate proposal to perfect that, and then we'll decide which one to have as our main proposal. So the main motion is now what I just read previously. Individual rights shall not be curtailed, whether based on circumstances of war, epidemic, natural disaster, or emergency, or any other pretense. Intelligence agencies that legitimately seek to preserve the security of the nation must be subject to oversight and transparency. We oppose the government's use of secret classifications to keep the public information that it should keep from the public information that it should have, especially that which shows that the government has violated the law. We oppose the use of torture and other cruel and unusual punishments without exception. Mr. Secretary?
Yes. So on the question to adopt the main motion, we begin with Gary Alvstead.
Aye.
Mark Raymond.
Aye.
Joe Brunhart.
Yes.
Point of order.
Who's making the point?
Seebeck.
Yes, sir. What's your point?
What are we voting on here?
To perfect the main motion.
That doesn't require a motion. That if the main motion here has been perfected without further amendment, you just go on to the substitute.
I believe that point is well taken. Yes, Mr. Seebeck is correct. So let's back out of that vote and go on to the proposed substitute, which Ms. Harlow's proposed earlier. And the secretary will be putting that back up again, but we can discuss that here. We're starting afresh on this whole motion there, and what she has proposed is that the change of the wording would be the defense of the country requires that we have adequate intelligence to detect and to counter threats to domestic security. This requirement must not take priority over maintaining the civil liberties of our citizens. We hold that an individual's right of choice and attendant responsibility is absolute, and no real or imagined emergency, whether medical, environmental, military, or other, can be used as a pretext for expanding or concentrating government power, including the suspension or curtailing of the Constitution or Bill of Rights. Intelligence agencies that legitimately seek to preserve the security of the nation must be subject to oversight and transparency. We oppose the government's use of secret classifications to keep from the public information that it should have, especially that which shows that the government has violated the law. We oppose the use of torture and other cruel and unusual punishments without exception. Now, make note that this particular proposal has not been altered in other parts, like we just altered the main motion. So obviously, any kind of motion to that effect is in order for this particular motion. Let's see if anyone wants to. Okay, several hands are up. Carolyn Clift hasn't spoken before. Carolyn?
Actually, I'm thinking that this could be used for broken out as a different motion, a different amendment, since we've changed the other one so radically that it is not exactly the same thing anymore. But I do want to say I need to leave, and Josh McCose is now here, so please seat him as the Alaska delegate. Thank you.
Okay, Carolyn, thank you very much. Okay, let's go to Curry.
Declare Miss.
Okay, Curry.
Yes. Okay. Before everyone tries starting to rip this one apart with amendments, which I expect to happen, I just want to speak in favor of it. Chair Harlow's put this on the email list about a week ago, and I thought this was a better substitute literally for the other motion, and it has a lot of things I think going for it. We've heard people who say that they like the term individual rights. If you like that, that is in this substitute. I heard people say that they like, Constitution and the Bill of Rights. And if you like that, that's also in this substitute. Some people have said that they like, you don't have to choose between epidemic and you have to choose between pandemic or whatever, because you have the word medical in there. The word medical covers everything, even things that are not pandemics or epidemics. And so I think, I like this as it is. Maybe there'll be some wordsmithing here, but I think this covers most of at least the original intent of the language of the modification from the original 2020 proposal. And so I'm just speaking in favor of it, and I'd like to encourage you guys to give it a due consideration.
Okay, Matt Cholko.
So I oppose this motion, and frankly, I think that the original is very good now, and we could chop this one all up and make it damn near the same thing if we want to, or we could just vote this one down and pass the good one that we just created. So I don't particularly dislike the changes in here relative to what it is in the platform currently, but it's not better than what we just made. So I'll be voting against this, and I'm hoping that we don't spend an hour amending it to make it the same thing.
Okay, and please take your hands down as soon as you're done speaking. And that means that we don't have anybody new then. Are there any proposed amendments or any further discussion on this particular substitute?
Taylor's hand is up.
Sure.
Yeah, let's see. Curry, did you want to speak again on that? No, his hand is down. Starchild.
Yeah, I think that the one sentence that Karen Ann's version changes, I actually like her wording better than the corresponding sentence in the main motion now. I think we could basically incorporate her idea by simply replacing that sentence without affecting the rest of the work that we just did. Let's I can't see on the screen the sentence as it's worded now.
Mr. Secretary, can you pull that down?
Scroll up when
Yeah.
Oh, you want to have, okay, one second. You want to have
So
both
we
of them.
compare the two, right, there we go. Yeah,
I was just going to read
the
right now we have that sentence saying individual rights shall not be curtailed, whether based on circumstances of war, epidemic, natural disaster, or emergency, or any other pretense. Instead of that, I propose that we substitute Karen Ann's sentence while leaving the rest of it alone. So her sentence then would be, we hold that an individual's right of choice and attendant responsibility is absolute, and no real or imagined emergency, whether medical, environmental, military, or other, can be used as a pretext for expanding or concentrating government power, including the suspension or curtailing of the Constitution or Bill of Rights.
Well, I'd have to rule that we've already perfected the other wording. So we would have to just do a major amendment to the substitute to make it look like you just said. And that would require taking out those first two sentences on the substitute and then going from there.
Well, what I was proposing is just to perhaps adopt that particular sentence, although it does still have the problem, at least it's a problem from my perspective, of speaking of the Constitution and Bill of Rights as two separate documents, which we fixed previously before eliminating that section. But I do think that her language is a little bit broader and has the advantage of referring to the Constitution and Bill of Rights as well as to individual rights. As it was pointed out, there's different reasons for mentioning those different things. But I do think it's fine now. I mean, it would be more work and wordsmithing to fix that sentence, perhaps, if we were to adopt it. So I won't be super upset if we don't.
Point of information that the Star Child one that he was referring to, that's the main motion, right?
Right, the main motion he's referring back to. So we can't really amend that again.
But we can amend it after if we reject the substitute motion, then we can amend the main motion after that.
Yeah, that's basically what I was suggesting.
Right.
Is if we vote this down, then we could still take that single sentence.
Okay, okay, well, I guess if what you'd want to do then is just to vote down the substitute and then propose an amendment back to the main motion. But we have more hands up here. Joe Brungart.
Move to postpone further discussion of this plank until the next meeting.
Okay. A discussion of that.
Yeah, we've spent an hour and 15 minutes on this, and we haven't gotten a goddamn thing done. So we're wasting an entire evening.
Okay, the motion is to postpone to the, I assume, the first item on the agenda, well, after the public comment and all that, at the next meeting. Is that your motion?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Brown.
Okay, Matt Scholko, did you wish to speak on that? No, Matt's off of there.
Hey, this is Matt Scholko, but I thought that's not debatable. Isn't a motion to postpone go to vote immediately?
That's a good question, but it looks like nobody else wants to speak on it. I don't believe.
Well, then I do want to speak on it. If I can speak on it.
Stand by a minute.
Okay, just briefly, because I think the idea was that we want to move on to the next proposal.
Yeah, well, I don't want to move on to the next proposal. I want to get this one done. I think we're on it right now. We're pretty deep in it. Rather than resetting again like we did this week, and I think we should just power through it now and get it wrapped up. So I oppose the motion to postpone.
Okay, and Joe Brungart, did you wish to be recognized on this?
No, I forgot to put my hand down.
Okay. Okay. Well, in that case,
Mr. Chair, postpone to time certain is debatable.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, I just wasn't 100% sure. Luckily, then we've been debating it. Okay, further debate on Star Child.
This is Omar.
Oh, I'm sorry. Weren't you just agreeing that it was out of order to debate it?
No, that it is in order to debate it.
It is in order. Okay. Yeah, I would also speak against the motion to postpone. I think we're very close to passing the main motion. The only question would be then whether we add this additional sentence or not. Maybe, I mean, we could further wordsmith over email, and I'm not opposed to that, but I don't want to throw out the work that we've done. I don't think it's true that we've done nothing. I think we did make some significant improvements here.
Okay.
I think it does pass if possible.
Okay, Curry Taylor.
Yeah, I'll speak against also, not because I don't think that a good vehicle for us to do some workshopping, but given the track record of this committee so far, I haven't seen a lot of really hard work done on email. So I really think that we need to stick with what we have in the meetings as much as possible.
Okay, thank you. Let's see, and please take your hands down once you've spoken. Omar Requera.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I rise in favor of postponement because to the point that Mr. Brunhart made, and I don't feel like we're close, and I don't think everyone understands how this works. It was the chair said that you perfect one and then you go to the other. So once we're done, we're done. I don't think we can perfect the main motion anymore. We're now on to the substitute motion. I could be wrong, but I believe that was her instructions, and I don't feel like we're close. And the more that we debate any other thing, it brings us closer to 11 o'clock. So you see where that's going. So to Mr. Taylor's point, he's right that we haven't got much done during email. I would encourage everybody to talk more during email. I do appreciate our meetings and the debate that we've had so far during all the meetings, but we've taken too long on this. So I would encourage everyone to just postpone this so that we can move on. Also, one last thing too, we don't have to adopt everything the 2020 committee did. We've adopted a lot of things already, and we're getting into that point of the report where you're going to find that a lot of the votes were like 9-7 and there wasn't a lot of consensus. So I would just encourage us to kind of just move on so that we can get to new things.
Okay, and Starchild, did you want to be recognized again?
No, I didn't put my hand down from before, but my view against postponing remains unchanged.
Okay.
I think we should try to pass.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Secretary, let's move to a vote on postponement. If a yes vote means it will postpone to the next meeting. A no vote means we'll continue.
Okay. I'm going to put the thing on the screen so that everybody can see it. I'm going to have to switch here. You know what? I got to switch here. Sheet 4. No. Give me 1 second because this thing blocks me. All right. Gary Alvstead.
Nay.
Mark Brayman.
No.
Joe Brunhart.
Yes, please.
Matt Choco.
No.
Ken Matz.
Nay.
We got Josh McHose.
Nay.
And I will vote aye. Mike Seebeck.
Abstain.
Starchild.
Nay.
Curry Taylor.
Nay.
John Thompson.
Nay.
And Mr. Brown,
do you wish to vote also?
Okay, so we are 2 in favor, 9 opposed, and 1 express abstention.
Okay, that motion fails. My suggestion would be that if people are pretty satisfied with the main motion, that you just vote down the substitute, or we can continue with the substitute. And if you wanted to make it closer to the first one, a motion to take out those first 2 sentences again would be in order, or any other similar amendment. But again, Madam Chair was correct that we have already perfected the original motion.
We as a committee can overrule her at any time.
They can. But that was the assumption that we were having all along. Again, certainly the committee can overrule, or I could rule differently for that matter, since I'm chairing the meeting. But
Mr. Chair, Robert specifically says the way that that Ms. Harlow suggested.
Oh, you mean when there's 2 rival motions?
Correct.
Okay, point well taken. So anyway.
Point of information?
Yes, Starchild.
So are you saying that, or maybe I should just ask you, if we vote this down and then someone, myself or someone else, moves to substitute the one new sentence from Karen Ann's language for the corresponding sentence in the main motion, would you rule that out of order?
Yes, I would have to rule that out of order. That's why I was suggesting before that
point of order.
Yes, Gary.
Roberts only says that the substitute motion can't, if accepted, can't be modified again. If the main motion survives, it could still be amended.
Okay, I am not an expert on Roberts. I will admit to that. Mr. Seebeck appears to know a little bit more about that. What would you say to that particular statement?
I believe that actually may be correct, but if you'll let me look a minute, I'll see if I can get a better answer. But in the meantime, let me look and I'll let you know.
Okay, and if that's the case, then you would want to vote down the substitute, and then we would just make additional changes to the main motion, including this particular sentence, if you wish. So we'll stand down for a moment, catch our breaths.
This may take a couple minutes, so bear with me.
Okay.
It's 12:90 if you're looking it up in Roberts.
Thank you, that helps.
Yeah. Oh. Okay, it looks like Curry Taylor, did you wish to be recognized on this?
I think I'm going to try to do this quickly, and I'm going to just ask to strike the first two sentences of the substitute so that it can look more like the main, because I think everyone agrees that we don't want those first two sentences, or at least most of the committee like that. So if we could do that again for this substitute, then we can at least have a comparable first part of the thing. And if it turns out that we can amend the substitute afterwards, which I think we can, because we have amended substitutes after they've been chosen over the main before in the Libertarian Party. I know we have. Mm-hmm. Then it'll make it easier. This will be a little bit faster if we move along that way.
Okay, hold tight on that, and let's see what Mr. Seebeck has found out.
Okay, who raised the question on the amending the substitute if it becomes the main?
Was that Starchild?
I asked. Yeah, yes. I asked the question about that.
Okay, that is correct. Once 1290 does say that if the substitute becomes the main motion, that it cannot be further amended. But if it fails and the main original motion remains, that it can be further amended.
Okay, very well, thank you. So, Mr. Taylor, did you want to propose that amendment, or do we want to move to a vote down the substitute, or what was the will of the body here?
Yes, I wanted to move to strike those two sentences.
Okay, that's what's on the floor then at this moment. A motion by Mr. Taylor in the substitute to strike the first two sentences, the same two that we struck in the main motion. Discussion on that particular proposal. Let's see.
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Oh, Starchild, point of information.
I was just wondering if you might ask whether it would be possible to do that without objection. If there's no objection, it could save us some time.
Oh, there's an objection, all right.
Yeah, well,
well, never mind.
Well, I was going to see if there's
okay.
I was going to see if there was discussion first. Mike Seebeck.
Okay, this is a very bad idea, and I'll tell you why. Okay, I'm cleared for intelligence stuff, and I know what goes on behind the wall, and it escapes me beyond belief to not understand why the idea of throwing out the idea of defending the country without the proper information to do the job. Okay, this specific wording for this plank was put in 2018. Okay, this is relatively new. The reason the previous committee left it in was partly because of that. Okay, there's no reason to take it out. And I got a major issue with the idea here that we're taking the defense part of this of this plank out when internal security starts with external defense. Okay, we might as well go through another plank here and take peace out of the platform while we're at it if we're going to gut it in a way that doesn't make any sense. So let's vote this down, leave Ms. Harlow's wording in play, and get that one out there, which actually makes sense in the context of the plank.
Okay, let's see. Further discussion. Matt Cholko.
Forget it. We're just going to vote it and pass it, so I don't need to talk.
Okay, Omar Requero.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I want to thank, let me put my hand down. I want to thank Mr. Seebeck. I didn't realize that we had passed this in 2018. I was a delegate in 2018, so I must have voted yes on this. I think maybe. Yeah, I'm just, striking this and making it, I don't like the first one. And if we strike this and make it kind of close to the first one, I'm not going to like this one either. So we've really gone so far away, I think, from what the actual meaning of what this was. And the title of it was read earlier about, security and whatnot. And I get it that some of it's still there, but I just don't like the way this reads anymore. I don't think it reads like a platform plank anymore. So, yeah, I'm not sure how I could support any of this anymore right now. Yeah, that's where I'm at. So,
okay, thank you, Mike Seebeck again.
Oh, there we go. Sorry, I was muted. Just to add one more point, this is another case where we have mashed two different topics together in the same plank. I think it's a good idea to split these apart. Internal security and defense is one thing, individual rights is another. And I really think they need to be straightened out. We were able to accomplish this before. I think we can do it again.
Okay, thank you. Looks like no one else wishes to be recognized on this subject, so we'll move to a vote on the Taylor amendment, which is to delete the first two sentences in the substitute. Mr. Secretary.
All righty. Am I on mute? No, I'm off mute. Okay. Gary Alfstead.
I'll abstain.
Okay. Mark Brayman.
I will abstain as well.
Joe Brunhart.
Yes.
Matt Choko.
Aye.
Ken Matz.
Aye.
Josh McHose.
Aye.
And Omar Crow will vote nay. Mike Seebeck.
Absolutely no.
Star Child.
Aye.
Kerry Taylor.
Aye.
John Thompson.
Nay.
Okay. And let me get this on screen for you guys as I just move things around. Mr. Brown, did you want to vote?
I will abstain on that one, or an express abstention.
Okay. All righty. So with your express abstention, we have 6 in favor, 3 opposed, and 3 express abstentions.
Okay, motion passes. The first two sentences are again removed. Let's move back to the substitute. Any further amendments?
Can we wait to see the substitute language on the screen again?
Oh, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and put that up. But that would. Let me find my notes here. Okay, so we're back to it, starting with the new language that Ms. Harlow's proposed, which is we hold that an individual's right of choice and attendant responsibility is absolute, and no real or imagined emergency, whether medical, environmental, military, or other, can be used as a pretext for expanding or concentrating government power, including the suspension or curtailing of the Constitution or Bill of Rights. Now, just an observation, it would seem like to keep it consistent with the previous motion that we would want to drop, we hold that from the beginning of that. But I'm not making that as a proposal, but if anyone else was interested in that. And just start with an individual's right of choice. Yeah.
And that second sentence in red that's not struck out is actually struck out. It's not part of the current language, correct?
Correct. That's in the current plank, but that's to be struck out with this proposal. Okay, let's see. Matt Cholko.
Okay, so this, I guess, is maybe a point of parliamentary inquiry. Would it be in order for me to propose an amendment to remove the words "we hold that," and at the same time change the end of the blue text there to say including suspension of individual rights? So
I would say we should do those separately.
Okay.
So let's start with the "we hold that."
Hold on. I'm not making that amendment. I wanted to see if it was doable. So let me see where things go here.
Okay. Very well. Let's see. No one else wishes to be recognized.
I would like to, Mr. Chair.
Starchild, yes.
I would propose amending to say curtailing of the Constitution, comma, especially the Bill of Rights, as we had changed in the other language previously for the same reasons.
Okay, very well, thank you. Discussion on the Starchild amendment.
Dilatory, what's the point of having a substitution if the substitution is the same as the original?
Well, because the substitute could become the main motion, depending on what we decide after we perfected this one.
Point of information, Mr. Chair.
Yes, sir.
We're striking "we hold that."
No, that wasn't proposed this time.
What are we adding? I'm sorry, I totally missed it.
Okay, his Starchild's proposal is to change it to the Constitution at the end, the Constitution, comma, especially the Bill of Rights at the end of that sentence.
The Constitution.
Correct.
Especially the Bill of Rights. So delete "or" and put "especially the."
This was already voted down once before.
Don't we have? Wasn't that how the other one was amended? Okay. Well, again, we're on a different proposal now, so it is in order. Let's see. And I think we've heard the argument on that, but Starchild, if you wanted to speak to that
It was
motion.
already voted down. This is a waste of everyone's time.
I think when we voted on it, it was modifying something else at that point, wasn't it?
Well, let's see if we have that back up here.
It was modifying the other amendment, the main motion.
Oh, that's right. We changed that to individual rights. So we no longer have anything regarding the Constitution. After we had made several changes to that, we got rid of the mention of the Constitution and changed it to individual rights. However, the Constitution and Bill of Rights are still in the substitute. So it is in order to amend the substitute because that could become the main motion if the body decided to make it the main motion once we perfected it.
Yeah, I think in this case, the substitute motion has individual rights at the beginning of its language. And so to repeat individual rights later in that would be kind of redundant. I think it is an appropriate place to mention the Constitution. And I still think that saying, especially the Bill of Rights, is relevant, even noting validity of your point about the 14th Amendment, Ted, because I think in most cases, the Bill of Rights, I think, is the most important part of the Constitution, even though the pandemic may have been justified, the mandates in the pandemic may have been justified on the basis of, or what am I saying here? The violation in the case of the pandemic mandates may have been more to the 14th Amendment. I think in most cases, the Bill of Rights has the meat of what's protected under the Constitution, including, of course, the 9th and 10th Amendments that basically say anything not specifically given to government as a power is denied to government as a power. So I think especially the Bill of Rights language acknowledges the importance of the Bill of Rights as I think we should, because that's the case in most cases of assumed government authority, and also acknowledging, or avoiding stating that in a way that implies that they're two separate documents. Obviously, they're not two separate documents.
Okay. Very well. So no one else has raised their hand on this. Let's move to a vote on that amendment. Well, actually, yeah, there'll probably be an objection. Okay, Mr. Secretary, please move to a vote on that.
Okay, 1 second here because I've got to find the right ballot here. This is Star Child Amendment.
There's also a comma after Constitution is missing still.
Well, remember, we're not going to get too riled up on commas after there is the style committee.
Okay.
True.
Point of information?
Yes, Curry.
Ted, do we have a style committee?
Well, it was mentioned before that the secretary can just make sure everything's grammatically correct, like that with commas and
yeah, but that's
and things like that.
Not specifically a style committee, but just the secretary. Okay.
Right.
Okay.
Okay. Let's move to a vote.
I believe it's in the bylaws and in the policy manual. Gary Alstead.
Abstain.
Okay, Mark Raymond.
Yes.
Joe Brunhart.
Abstain.
Matt Choco.
I'll go ahead. I'll abstain.
Ken Matz.
Aye.
Josh McHose.
Aye.
Okay, Omar Recurl votes nay. Mike Seebeck.
Abstain.
Star Child.
Aye.
Curry Taylor.
I'll vote aye.
John Thompson.
Nay.
Okay, I'm gonna get this on the screen. Mr. Brown, do you wish to vote?
I'll say aye on this one.
Okay, with your aye, we will have 6 in favor, 2 nays, and 4 express abstentions.
Okay, motion amendment passes. And so now are there any further amendments to the substitute, or can we move to a vote on whether to substitute the substitute for the main motion?
We could get rid of "we hold that" as someone had proposed. I think that would be a marginal improvement as well.
Would you like to move that?
Sure.
Okay, this is a new motion or a new amendment to delete "we hold that," and then the plank would start "an individual's right of choice." So at the beginning of the right there, it says "we hold that an individual's right of choice," and it would just delete "we hold that" and then capitalize "and."
Okay. Yeah, we hold that, and so just start with the individual right.
No, "and" would still be there. It'd be like because of the way this is phrased, that would be "and" would be capitalized then.
Yeah, I know. Just give me a second.
Yeah.
Okay, so that should be it, Mr. Chair.
Okay, let's see. Anyone wants to be heard on this one? Starchild, did you want to speak to that any further?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. Just grammatical improvement.
Okay, and no one else.
A few unnecessary words.
Yeah, no one else has raised their hand on that one. Actually, that seems a bit uncontroversial. Maybe I'm wrong, but is there any objection to adopting that particular change?
Yes, there's objection.
Okay, let's move to a roll call vote on that.
Okay, Gary Alstead.
Was there any debate? If somebody wanted to.
No one raised their hand to be heard. So if no one wishes to debate it, we move to a vote.
Gary Alstead.
Abstain.
Okay, Mark Raymond.
Yes.
And Ted Brown.
Aye.
Coming in last. Joe Brunhart.
Abstain.
Matt Choco.
Aye.
Ken Matz.
Aye.
Josh McHose. I'll come back to Josh. Omar Recurl will vote nay. Mike Seebeck.
Abstain.
Starchild.
Aye.
Curry Taylor.
Aye.
John Thompson.
Abstain.
Okay. I'll get that on the screen for you guys so we can see here. Did I miss anyone? Oh yeah, I missed Josh McHose. Josh McHose, you still with us?
Yep. Aye.
Okay. Thank you, sir. 7 in favor, 1 nay vote, and 4 express abstentions. Mr.
Okay,
Chair.
Motion passes. And so, actually, Mr. Secretary, could you put the two proposals, the two rival proposals up next to each other? And then we can see where we are.
Well, Mr. Chair, I think the question right now is, shall the substitute become the main motion? I can do that for you, but I'm just saying, I think we're voting on whether or not.
Exactly. So people are going to want to see what the comparison is before they want to see if they're going to substitute it or not. So we'll read both of them.
Okay, just give me one moment here because I don't want to screw things up here. Control C.
Okay. Well, here's our choices. Okay, the main motion says individual rights shall not be curtailed, whether based on circumstances of war, epidemic, natural disaster, or emergency, or any other pretense. Intelligence agencies that legitimately seek to preserve the security of the nation must be subject to oversight and transparency. We oppose the government's use of secret classifications to keep from the public information that it should have, especially that which shows that the government has violated the law. We oppose the use of torture and other cruel and unusual punishments without exception. The proposed substitute motion says, an individual's right of choice and attendant responsibility is absolute, and no real or imagined emergency, whether medical, environmental, military, or other, can be used as a pretext for expanding or concentrating government power, including the suspension or curtailing of the Constitution, especially the Bill of Rights. Intelligence agencies that legitimately seek to preserve the security of the nation must be subject to oversight and transparency. We oppose the government's use of secret classifications to keep from the public information that it should have, especially that which shows that the government has violated the law. We oppose the use of torture and other cruel and unusual punishments without exception. Now, is there any further discussion of the, looks like there is, of the substitute before we vote whether to substitute? Mark Brayman.
Yes, I'd like to speak against the substitute motion.
Okay.
The language here, let's look at what we've come up with in the first sentence. An individual's right of choice and attendant responsibility is absolute. I think that the concepts that hit the uninitiated reader right there are confusing. What is an individual's right of choice? That sounds like maybe this plank has something to do with abortion. How can a right of choice be absolute if there are attendant responsibilities that go with it? I just think that the cognitive barriers that this presents to an uninitiated reader will be very difficult and will make it less attractive. In contrast, we worked very hard to simplify the language in the main motion to make it very clear and using wording that should be quite familiar to even a very uninitiated reader. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Starchild?
My hand was actually up from before, but I think Mark actually just convinced me to support the original rather than the substitute. I think he makes good points.
Okay. Further discussion? Let's see. Curry Taylor.
Yeah, I'll again speak in favor of the substitute. I think we've done some good work on it. If you think individual's right of choice is somehow vague, then I'm going to remind you that in the original motion, we did restitution and the Bill of Rights with individual rights, which I don't know, guys. Some people will say, you know, has very definitions. I mean, not to us, it doesn't, but to the general public, there's a lot of vagueness in there, in my opinion. So both of them kind of had that vagueness in there, if you like that. Whereas if you like more specific things, the substitute again has the Constitution and especially the Bill of Rights still intact and in the wording and the language. It also goes further into specificity of what is an emergency. So I think it's just more appropriate and it's better worded.
Okay, Mike Seebeck.
Well, personally, I think they both suck. And I'm writing a minority report against whichever one passes because they both have been butchered the originals so badly that we've lost track, as Mr. Rucaro has said earlier, what we're supposed to be doing here. The original proposal from the last committee was just fine. So we're trying to reinvent a square wheel here. We still have the mash of too many things in one plank, and that's not been addressed. And these both are just simply terrible.
Okay, Joe Brungart.
Yeah, for a completely different reason. I don't like either of these either. So we just wasted an entire 2 hours of my night when I could have done something else because there's 10 minutes left and we're not going to even be able to vote on this probably. So thanks, everybody.
Okay, and please take your hands down if you're once you're finished. And it doesn't look like we have anybody new, so let's move to a vote on the substitute. So the motion on the floor is to substitute the substitute language for the original motion, and then it becomes the main motion. Okay, Mr. Secretary.
Give me 1 second because I got to.
So a yes vote is to adopt the substitute.
Correct. That'll be the committee's proposal instead of the main motion.
Are we ready, Mr. Chair?
Yep, go on.
All right, Gary Alstead.
Nay.
Mark Raymond.
Nay.
Joe Brunhart.
Abstain.
Matt Choco.
Nay.
Ken Matz.
Nay.
Josh McHose.
Nay.
I will vote nay. Mike Seebeck.
No.
Star Child.
Reluctantly nay.
Curry Taylor.
Aye.
Nay.
John Thompson, I heard a nay. I heard a nay. And then Mr. Brown.
I'll vote nay also.
There's always the one true principled libertarian.
Contrarian streak runs deep amongst our people.
Yeah.
Mr. Brown, we have 1 in favor, 10 opposed, and 1 express abstention.
Okay, substitute fails. The main motion is our proposal for the has been adopted as our proposal. Okay. Oh, actually, no.
Mr. Point of order. Yeah.
Yes. I
think you were going to get in there. Yeah. We've defeated the substitute motion. Now we are back to the main motion, which is, I'm going to put, which is right here.
Exactly. Now, are we ready to vote on that main motion? I don't see anyone wishing to speak. We can move on to adopt that as our committee proposal. Okay, let's see. All right, no one wishes to speak. Mr. Secretary, let's move for a vote on the main motion.
Point of inquiry, Ted.
Yes, Curry.
If I want to make a minority report, do I have to vote in the opposition, or have to vote against the motion?
I believe that's correct. Yes, and then I think that needs 4 of you to be the minority report. To do a minority report.
I believe the chair. I believe the chair Harlos has not ruled that way in the past.
Mr. Brown.
Yeah, I thought any number of people could make a minority report. I didn't think there was a threshold for that.
Mr. Brown, so if I may,
yes,
in the conventional rules of order, that's where you'd find this, and you'd also find it in the committee workbook that Ms. Harlos gave everybody. That says it just requires 4 members of the committee, or I think it's 25% or 20%. In this case, it'll be 4 members of the committee can come together and establish a minority report. So it doesn't matter which way you vote.
Right.
Thanks. Okay, that's correct. Then we'll rule that way. So you can vote however you want, and then you can still be one of 4 to present a minority report.
Again, those rules, Ms. Harlos put together in the work manual for everybody.
Okay, are we ready to vote on the main motion? No one wishes to speak, Mr. Secretary.
Okay, 1 sec. I lost my cursor. Here we go. Next ballot is adopt the main as our proposal. Okay. Gary Alstead.
Aye.
Okay. Mark Raymond.
Aye.
Joe Brunhart.
Yes.
Matt Choco.
Aye.
Ken Matz.
Aye.
Josh McHose. Come back. I will vote nay.
Sorry, I'm here.
Okay. Josh. How did you vote, Josh?
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Mike Seebeck.
No.
Starchild.
Aye.
Bert Taylor.
Aye.
John Thompson.
Nay.
Okay, and let's see if I can get that on the screen for you guys. So we can see that's ballot 14. Yep. Mr. Brown, did you vote? Okay, so that will be 9 to in favor, 3 opposed, no express abstentions. I don't think I missed anybody. Time is 10:57.
Motion passes. Okay, we got that one. Okay, now where we are on the agenda is we can have 3 minutes to take up gender autonomy, or we can adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there any objection to adjourning? Hearing none, we're adjourned. Thank you all very much.
Thank you, Ted.
Thank you. Thank everyone.
Yeah, thank everyone.
Back. It was a big success.
Well, I will say at least the minutes should be easier since it was just one motion.
A lot of amendments, though.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, but I just got to copy and paste the entire notes and just slap in the minutes. This is what we did. That's it.
Okay, sounds good. Well, yeah, thank you, everybody, and I'll talk to you next week.
Yes.
And I've been as bad as everyone else in not trying to do further wordsmithing recently by email, but I do think that would be